And notice if you're sitting kind of pitching forward a little bit or leaning back a little bit. So I often talk about having the shoulders right above the hips. So you just want to kind of check in with yourself and notice where that is. And then notice your head. So most of us, this is our posture. I'm really exaggerating it, but we get really short in the back of the neck and a little long in the front of the neck. So what I'm going to ask you to do is think about an imaginary line, like right, the fontanelle, when babies are born, the soft spot there. Just imagine that there's a line going straight up, and you want to lift up through that line and tuck your chin ever so slightly toward your collarbone. So this might give you the sensation or the feeling that your neck is a little bit compressed, but sitting like this actually creates more tension in your shoulders. So we want to sit with a little bit more intention in this way. And then once you're there, see if you can relax into it a little bit so you're not like holding yourself really rigid, and close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, just begin to notice your breathing. Notice how the air is moving in and out of your body. You might notice if the breath is fast or slow, if it's shallow or deep. And you might notice if there's a temperature difference on the inhalations and exhalations. And you won't notice that quite so much in a mask, but without a mask on, you should notice quite a difference, especially in the winter time. The air is generally a lot cooler as it moves in, as opposed to the warmth as it moves out. And then continuing to just observe the breath the way it is without changing anything. Notice if you feel movement somewhere in your body. So as you inhale, do you feel your chest or your belly or your rib cage or your waist expanding and contracting? And now that you've observed your natural breath, the way that you normally breathe, let's begin by bringing conscious awareness to the breath and lengthening each inhalation and exhalation. So as you inhale, when you get to the place where you would normally stop and switch to an exhalation, see if you can keep breathing in. So you want to really expand that inhalation by quite a bit. And same thing as you exhale. When you get to the spot where it feels like you would normally switch back to an inhalation, see if you can keep exhaling. And a good way to do this is to engage your belly muscles and pull your navel in toward your spine. That'll help to press out any of the breath that's left in the lower lobes of the lungs. So breathing in, sort of exaggerating the length of the inhale and exaggerating the length of the exhale. And as you're breathing in this fashion, see where you feel movement in your body. Can you feel your belly expand as you inhale? And as you continue to inhale deeper and deeper, can you feel your shoulders gently rising? And as you exhale, can you feel the gentle contraction in your belly? Can you feel your shoulders falling? Breathing in and breathing out. Long, slow, deep breath. Continuing to notice your breath, continuing to watch the inhalations and exhalations. Just check in with the rest of your body. Have you created some tension in your hands or shoulders or arms? What about your feet or your legs or your hips? See if you can relax that tension anywhere that you discover it. And take a couple more of these really full deep breaths in and out. And after your next exhalation, go back to your natural breath. Just let the air move in and out of your body. You don't need to make it slow or deep. You don't need to necessarily feel any movement in your belly or your ribs or your shoulders. Just notice what you see. And take a deep breath in now. Let it out with a sigh. Then you can let your eyes gently open. Okay, so let's take the hands off the lap and we'll just start with some movement for the fingers. So gently extending and bending the fingers, getting a little movement in there is helpful for those joints that can get a little cranky, a little creaky, might get a little crunchy this time of year. Colder weather makes my joints a little crunchy. And then let's extend the hands really, really wide. Bring your thumbs and little fingers as far away from each other as they'll go. And then keeping your hands extended, so the muscles here, keeping them as engaged and extended as you can. See if you can bring your thumbs and your baby fingers together and then extend. So again, we're keeping the hands as extended as they can go, and we're just bringing the thumbs and the baby fingers together. And breathe in and breathe out as you do this. Keep breathing in and breathing out. Great. Okay, let's go to the ring fingers next. So keep all the rest of the hand really engaged as you bring these fingers together. It has a different feeling than just like relaxing the hands and letting that happen. So keep breathing as you're doing this. Good, and let's move to the middle fingers. Again, keeping all those fingers engaged. And when you bring the thumb and the finger away from one another, really extend through the hands quite a bit. And then finally the pointer fingers, the first fingers, right? Finger one and thumb. And keep breathing. And one more time. And then we're just going to relax the hands. Whew, that's a lot of work for the hands. A lot of work there. So take your palms together, and you want to keep the heels of your hands together. It's way down here, like at the very bottom where your wrist and your hands start. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the the hands up overhead as high as they'll go, and see if you can get your elbows close together. Now, some people are going to get the elbows to touch right in front, and some won't get there. So we're going to do that and breathe in and out, and then we're going to come all the way down again, keeping the heels of the hands together. Bring the heels of your hands as close to your lap as they'll go. Now I can go lower if I separate the heels of my hands, but I'm trying to keep the heels of my hands together and fingers facing up, by the way. So no fair doing that. Right? So we're going to keep the fingers facing up. So then we're going to go all the way up. Same thing. So this is a little bit of work for the wrists, the shoulders, the elbows. So just breathing in and breathing out. We're just going up and down. And press your palms together. So to get the most out of this, you want to really press your palms together. And if you're dealing with a shoulder issue or a wrist issue and you can't get your arms quite up overhead, very high, maybe you go this high and that's it. That's okay. Just do the best you can. Try and get those elbows really close. We'll do this just a couple more times. Keep breathing. Heels of the hands stay together. Nice. Okay. And then we're going to come to kind of a midway point where it's fairly comfortable. So you're just kind of holding your hands here. And now you're going to take your right hand and press your right fingers like you're trying to topple your left fingers over to the elbow. Go as high as you can, or as hard as you can. And then relax that. And we're going to go the other way. Now don't let your elbows and arms twist. This is just with the wrist. Right? So if your elbow's way down here, bring your elbow out there to the side. That's it. And relax that. Go to the other side. Yeah, so we're just really trying to get some extension at that wrist. This is one of the things I give my computer people who are on the computer all the time. So don't let the elbow drop. That's the temptation, right? Is to let the elbow drop so you can get over there. Yeah, because your shoulder is really good at compensating. Absolutely. All right, keep breathing. Great. All right, and then let's come back to center. Let's relax that and just kind of circle the wrists around a little bit. And now let's do this. Let's take the backs of the hands together and see if you can get right to where where the wrist kind of breaks into the hand here. And drop your shoulders down away from your ears. Notice I did that too, right? That's the tendency is to bring the shoulders way up here. So we're going to keep the hands, the backs of the hands together as best we can. We're going to go all the way down. So you might want to bring your feet apart a little bit so you can get your hands all the way down. Extend strongly through the arms. So that means straighten your elbows as much as they'll be straightened. And then breathing in and out, we're going to come up as high as we can go. But don't let the backs of the hands come apart. So I could go way up here, but then my hands won't be together. So I want to keep them here and go all the way down. Okay? So we're pressing the backs of the hands together in whatever way feels comfortable. So go right to your wrist, not here, not at the fingers, but right here at the wrist and all the way down. Keep breathing in and breathing out. That's looking good, you guys. So again, we're working the wrists here, right? We're getting the wrists and the muscles that come from the hands into the forearms. Those muscles can get very tight. So just a couple more. It's kind of like doing an upright row, but we're not paying too much attention to what's happening in the shoulder. Okay, two more. Just up and down, breathing in, breathing out. Excellent. Good. Okay. And then let's release that. And again, just kind of circle around after this. Great. Extend your arms out in front and relax your shoulder tops away from your ears. We're just going to bend and tap the shoulders. So this is just for elbows, pretty much elbows, biceps. So it's the muscles that cross the elbow, right? So your biceps muscles cross your elbow. Your triceps muscles in the back, they cross the elbow as well. So that's our joint. Next time you tap your shoulders, you're going to bring your elbows out to the side, and then we're going to extend up there. And then come forward and side and forward. Good. And just breathe and move. So let this be kind of a nice fluid movement. You don't have to, if you get a little confused on where your elbows are supposed to be facing, doesn't matter. Just kind of go in to the front and out to the sides. Good. And next time you have your hands on your shoulders, we're going to pause here for a moment. Okay, so have your right elbow out to the side, your left elbow forward. Good. Let's extend, then a bend, and then we're going to switch. So try not to twist your body, right? It's just the arms. Good. Excellent. So one elbow is forward and one elbow is out to the side, and it's easy to get confused really quickly, right? Yeah, because this is kind of a weird movement. Like, how often do you do this? Not very much, I would suspect. Okay, next time your hands are on your shoulders, let's pause here. Let's go all the way up overhead. Reach, reach, reach. See if you can get high in your chair, almost like you could lift yourself up. And if you're dealing again with a shoulder issue and your arm won't go up, just do the best you can. Breathing in, breathing out. We're going to make like fists with the hands. We're going to pull down, get the elbows down behind you, bring them as close together as they'll go behind your back and squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then go from fists to palms. And we're going to go all the way up, pushing up, 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 and then pulling down. Right? So that's the whole movement. So we're doing the shoulders now. So the movement here, we got some action at the wrists, we got some action at the elbows, but the primary focus here is in the upper back, the shoulders, and the chest. When you pull your arms behind, if you squeeze those shoulder blades together, you're not only exercising the muscles between your shoulder blades, but you're giving a little more space here in the front of the body and the chest. Again, this is another one of those movements I have my computer people do, people who are sitting hunched over a computer all day. The chest gets tight and the back gets tight as well. So this is a good way to combat that. Just a couple more of these. How about we do two more? Breathing in and breathing out. Good. And the last one, we're going to hold the arms down and back. So lift those elbows as best you can. And then let's see if we can extend the arms back there and then bend. Keep the elbows lifted as high as they can go. Go nice and slow. So the slower you go, the more you're using the muscles in the arms there. And the higher you can keep your elbows lifted in the back, the more you're going to work those triceps muscles. Those are the muscles in the back of the upper arm. Two more. Great. And last one. Excellent. Okay, relax all that. Let your hands rest on your lap. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath in and out and just notice your arms and shoulders, your elbows and forearms, your wrists, your hands, your fingers. You've got some good blood flow now in the upper body and the arms and the shoulders and those limbs. So let your eyes open. Let's continue a little bit more with the upper body and we'll get the chest involved here. So take your right arm up and turn forward. Don't turn your body, just your arm. And then turn the palm down and go all the way over to the left. So we're breathing in and breathing out. And as you come back, see if you can feel the stretch here through the chest. As you come forward, see if you can feel the stretch in the back of the shoulder, upper back. Okay, now let's get the whole body involved in this as a twist. So twist the body to the left and twist the body to the right. Try not to let your sitting bones slide on the chair though. So the movement is happening from the waist all the way up. Breathing in and breathing out. Just a couple more of these. Great. So we're going to finish with the arm in that open position. So that means behind us, right? So open position, look back there as far as you can look. See if you can see your hands. Maybe your arm can go farther than your gaze can go, or maybe your gaze can go a little farther than your arm. See if you can lock your gaze somewhere near that right hand. And we're going to bring the arm up overhead. Keep looking at your hand. And we're going to bring it all the way forward and back to the lap. Close your eyes for a moment. Check in with that right side. And notice if your chest and shoulder and your arm feel different on the right side than on the left side. And let your eyes open. We're going to take the left hand off the lap. Bring the arm up in front. Palm faces up. Relax your shoulder away from the ear a little bit. So this is just the arm first. So bringing the arm all the way back. Turn the palm down. Go all the way in. Right. So this is just to work the shoulder joints and the muscles that affect the shoulder joint. They come from your arm and they come from your back and your chest and the top of the shoulder here. So by isolating, in other words, by not moving the body, just moving the arm, we're isolating those muscles and getting that kind of work to the body. So just a couple more, breathing in, breathing out. Okay. And now we're going to involve the whole body. So when you bring your arm around, twist your body. As you come forward, twist to the right. So once again, this movement is happening from the waist. So you don't want to be sliding your sitting bones, your backside on the chair. You just want this movement to be happening from the waist. So this is a great exercise for the muscles between the ribs, around the rib cage, around the waist. It's still wonderful for the shoulder and the arm, but we're getting a whole lot more involved in this. Next time your arm is behind you, we're going to stay here and look back there as far as you can. Now bring that arm back as far as it'll go. See if you can turn your gaze, find that hand, if that's possible, to find the hand back there. And then lock your gaze on your hand. If you can't see your hand, just get as close as you can. And you're going to follow your arm now. We're going to bring that arm all the way up. You're going to follow your hand and your arm with your gaze. Bring it all the way around. Let your hand land on your lap. Close your eyes. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. And notice your shoulders, your chest, your back, your arms, your hands, your elbows, all that upper body stuff we did. Eyes open. Great. Let's do one final movement for the upper body, and then I promise we'll get to do some lower body stuff. So we're going to imagine that we're hugging a beach ball, right? So imagine a really big beach ball. And if you want to hug the beach ball, you have to kind of round your upper back like this. So we're going to do this movement. It's like up and over. So see if you can get into that beach ball movement, right? And pull your belly in. And it's like you're trying to get your chest down toward your belly a little bit here. Breathe in, breathe out. We almost look like vultures, right? You get this little vulture look on the arms. And then as you breathe in, we're going to expand the arms and come up and do like a, like you just landed on the mat, right? Like a gymnast, you just landed on the mat. And then you're going to come forward in that big beach ball, right? So up and over, breathing in and out. So I find it easier to breathe in when I land, when I stick my landing on that imaginary mat, and I find it easier to breathe out when I go over the beach ball. You might find it a little different, and that's okay. And you can exaggerate this as much as you want. So you can really arch your back, and you can really round your back. We're just going to do two more of these. As simple as this looks, this is pretty challenging. So we're going to do just one more, opening up and closing, and I lied, we're going to finish on an open. So let's kind of stick that gymnastic landing. It's always best to do an extension, and then relax the arms. Whew. Breath in, let it out with a sigh. Shoulders, your chest, your arms, your neck, your head. And you might even have noticed something in your spine as well. So start to get a little bit of work in the spine there too. Okay, so let's give that upper body a little bit of a break now. We're going to work on the lower body. So extend your right leg, have your heel on the floor, and you're going to squeeze and extend your toes. So I'm doing this with my hands so you can see that's what I'm doing in my shoes, right? If you don't have shoes on, that's even better for those of us here who, especially we like to keep our shoes on because we just feel we're safer with the whole COVID thing, and that's fine too. Also, the floor in here can be a little bit slippery. Okay, so we're going to start to point and flex the whole foot. So now we got movement at the ankle. And as you're pointing and flexing, if you're lifting your heel off the floor when you're doing this, like I am, we're engaging those quadriceps muscles. Okay, and then let's start to circle at the ankle, right? So just at the ankle, breathing in, breathing out. Keep the muscles here really strong as you're doing that. So the tendency is to kind of do this and swing the whole leg. See if we can do just the ankle and then reverse direction. Good. And then we'll bring that heel down to the floor. Have your hands alongside your hips on the chair. This just kind of supports you sitting up nice and tall and not kind of getting into that slouchy position. We're going to bend and extend the knee. Bend and extend. Now, I didn't mention this when we were doing the ankle, but you might have noise in the joints there. Pretty normal. Most of us have sound in some of the joints, maybe in most of them. But noise without pain is generally okay. I say that all the time. It's generally okay. Next time you bend, you're going to put your foot on the floor so that you're kind of extending the bottom of the foot and the toes and slide that foot underneath. Okay, and then see if you can press your heel down toward the floor and then let it relax. And press the heel. Now notice your spine. Notice if you're sitting up nice and tall. Breathing in, breathing out. Couple more. Excellent. One more. Excellent. Okay, we're going to take that and extend the leg out. Have the heel on the floor, toes reaching toward the ceiling, or 12 o'clock. If you're thinking of a position on the clock, your toes are reaching up toward 12. Keeping the hands here alongside you. Engage your belly muscles a little bit. Engage these muscles. These are your quadriceps muscles. Now, excuse me. When these muscles are engaged, that straightens the leg. It straightens the knee. So we're going to keep that knee nice and straight, and we're just going to lift and lower the heel from the floor. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, the slower you go, the more you're using these muscles and strengthening them, right? Try not to lean back when you're doing this. Try not to let your torso kind of do that little movement. Next time you lift your heel, let's hold here. Keep pressing out through your heel, reach your toes toward your shin, keep that knee nice and straight, and breathe while you're doing all of that. And then we're going to rotate that whole leg in and out. So from way up here, not the ankle, but from way up here. And it's rotating like this, right? So just turning the big leg bone up here in the hip socket. Now, if this is way too much, have your heel on the floor. That's okay. Especially if you've had some hip surgery recently or you've got a hip issue. One more. Great. Coming back to center. Let's relax that leg. Let's bend the knee a little bit. Once again, hands right alongside. We're going to lift that leg up and let's circle out and around. Now, if you find the chair is kind of in your way to do that, you can scoot over to the edge. Just don't want you to fall off. Okay, so just breathing in, breathing out, sit up nice and tall and reverse direction. You can do this on the floor too. So here's my foot on the floor, right? Absolutely fine. If this works better for me to have my foot on the floor, I'm going to do that. Okay, and then coming back, let's bring that foot back. If you're scooted to the side, coming around, take that leg now, cross it over the other one. So we have the right knee on top of the left knee. Now, if anybody can't cross knee on top of knee, you can cross at the ankle. That's okay. What we're going to do here is squeeze the inner thighs together. So engage those inner thigh muscles. Let your hands rest kind of on your lap a little bit. As you're squeezing your inner thighs together, bring the outside of your right foot close to the outside of your left lower leg, right? And then relax all of that. If you're crossing at the ankle, you're simply bringing the knees as close together as they'll go, and then relaxing. So this is what it looks like crossed at the ankle. You can see my knees are coming together and then apart. And here, I'm going to be bringing that foot closer to the leg, and then relax. Good. One more time. And we're going to hold. Next time you do this, let's hold and breathe. So squeeze those inner thighs as much as you can. If you're crossing at the knee, get that foot in as close as it'll go to the other side. Let's hold this for 2 more breaths. And last one. Great, and then relax that. So we're going to take this leg now. We're going to slide this ankle on top of this knee. If that doesn't work for you, ankle on top of ankle is just fine. Okay? So the difference, or what we're going to do in this instance, before we were squeezing the inner thighs together, now what we're going to do is engage the muscles out here in the outside of the thigh or the outside of the hip and pull the knee down toward the floor. So don't push, don't put your hands on there and push. If you're crossing at the ankle, it's the same movement. You're just pulling that knee down and away, right? So got that? Okay, so make sure you're sitting up tall. This particular position for the body, when I can sit up nice and straight, and as soon as I rotate my leg and my hip socket, it tries to pull me into this position because we're tight there. So sit up nice and tall as you do this. Pull that knee down toward the floor and then relax and breathe. So pulling the knee down and relax. And breathing in and breathing out as you do. Okay. And then completely relax the leg, but keep it crossed if you can. And again, if you're at the ankle, that's fine. You're going to take your hands and place them either on the shin here, if you're crossed ankle on top of knee, or just on the other side, if you're crossed ankle on top of ankle. Keep your spine really tall, breathing in. As you breathe out, we're going to come forward like you're trying to bring your belly button down onto your thigh. And then come back up. So nice and slow, right? I'm trying to examine at what point when I get forward do I really feel like I'm getting a stretch through this right leg. Could be in the knee, could be in the hip, could be in the back. So the next time that you come forward, I'm going to ask you to stay here. Now, if you're really far forward and it's hard to breathe, back off just a little bit. If you're like feeling not so much there, it's like okay, let's see if you can come forward a little farther. So we're just trying to find, I like to call it the Goldilocks spot, right? It's just right, like right now, for me personally, I have a little bit of sensation here in my hip, but I have a whole lot of sensation here in my knee. And this is where I'm going to stay. Because if I go farther forward to try and get more in my hip, that knee is going to really go off the chart. It's going to complain. So you want to pay attention to your body. Doesn't matter where you're feeling it, but just get to that edge of sensation where if you went farther, it would be too much. But if you backed off anymore, it wouldn't be enough. Breathing in, breathing out. Great. And then see if you can slowly come up. All right. Let's see if we can gently uncross that leg, maybe help it off a little bit. And then let's do this before we do anything else. Come up to the front of your chair, extend both legs, point your toes, get the legs as long as they'll go, and notice is your right leg longer than your left leg? It should be a little bit long. It should look like it's a lot longer than the other way. So bend the knees a little bit. What we just did was we worked all the joints from the bottom all the way to the hip, from the toes rather, all the way to the hip. We worked all of those joints. We lengthened muscles. It's always good to give yourself a massage, by the way, if you feel like you want to do that. So we lengthen the muscles, and when we lengthen the muscles, because muscles cross joints, right? So my lower leg muscle crosses my knee and comes up into my upper leg. My upper leg muscle crosses my hip and comes up into my back or into my belly or into my pelvis. Same thing in the lower part of the leg. So my lower leg muscles cross my ankle and go down into my foot. So when I stretch the muscles in the leg, I'm actually creating more space in the joint. Now it's so small that we couldn't measure it unless we had something that got to very, very small degrees. But the brain has to recalibrate how long that muscle is and what the distance is in that joint because it's already set at one thing. So it can feel like it's a whole lot longer. So let's take the left leg, extend it out. The inner knee for you was really uncomfortable. Yeah, and so that's the interesting thing is for you, it's the inner knee. For somebody else, they might say, wow, that was, my hip was like really kind of crazy there. So it really depends on where you're tight in your muscles. That's kind of cool. Let's see if it is the same on the other side. How's that? So extend the left leg, and we'll start with the toes. So squeezing and releasing toes. So this is what I'm doing in my shoe. Not quite like that, but that's the general idea. I'm trying to get that movement in there. I love to do this at night when I'm watching TV. I had my socks, my 3 pairs of socks last night. It was a 3 sock night. And just kind of watching TV and squeezing and extending my toes. And I'm always fascinated. So for me, my right foot, my toes are have much more range. My left, not so much. I always like to notice those things. And then we'll start to point and flex the foot. Now notice if you're kind of slouching a little bit with your posture, so you want to sit up, you might actually put your hands alongside your body. So we're just tapping toes and heels, breathing in, breathing out, quadriceps muscles doing a little bit of work. And then we'll circle at the ankle. And remember, it's just the ankle, not your whole leg yet. And then we'll circle the other way. Maybe noisy in there, maybe not. And we'll bring the heel back down to the floor. So now is a good time to kind of set yourself up with your hands right here near your hips, not back here because you don't want to be leaning back, but right here by your hips, and we're going to bend and extend. So keep your belly muscles engaged because the belly muscles actually support your back. So if your belly is if those muscles are not active, your back muscles come in and do a lot of the work, and we definitely don't want to tax the back. with this kind of work. That's not the job for the bed. Breathing in, breathing out, you're all doing that. Okay. Next time you bend, let's bring the toes to the floor, slide that foot or scoot that foot underneath there, and then press the heel toward the floor and relax. And press the heel and relax. So nice and slow, pressing and relaxing. So we're stretching some muscles, we're strengthening others when we do it like this. Good. Excellent. One more time. And then we'll extend that leg. Have your heel on the floor, toes at 12 o'clock. So straight up, activating these muscles, quadriceps muscles. So I was just saying that muscles in the upper leg cross the knee, right? So the quadriceps muscles are special muscles. They cross two joints. So they cross your hip. They come from your hip all the way down to your thigh, from your thigh to your lower leg. So when we keep those muscles strong and we lift and lower this leg, we're strengthening muscles here in the leg. We're strengthening muscles in the hip. So the slower you go, the harder it is, and the more you get out of it. Okay, I have to sit up really slow, try to resist that desire to go back. Are you breathing or are you holding your breath? And the next time you lift and you hold there, keep those muscles squeezed, and we're going to rotate the whole leg in and out, pardon me, from up here in the hip socket, right? Just the whole leg, so getting that whole thing involved. You can just do the best you can. If you want to put your heel on the floor and do it that way, that's great. That works just fine. Two more. Good. And then we can lower that down, bend your knee, and we're going to lift this leg and circle up and around. If you need to move over to the side of your chair, you can do that. If having your leg up off the floor doesn't work, you can keep your toes on the floor and do it that way. Just trying to get some rotation here in the hip joint itself. So the socket, right? You all know you have a ball and socket in there, right? So the hip joint works like a socket, and the top of the leg bone works like a ball. And then reverse direction. We'll do 40 of these. No, we won't. Just checking to see if you're paying attention. All right, we're going to bring that foot back down to the floor. Let's take that leg and we're going to cross it over the other one. So knee on top of knee, if that works for you. If that's a no-go, ankle on top of ankle, same thing. So you want to have your hands kind of resting there on your thighs, sitting up close to the edge of your chair. Same thing we did on the other side, which is to engage those inner thigh muscles. Press your inner thighs together, and as you do, press the outside of your left foot to the outside of your right leg, and relax. So we're just engaging those muscles and relaxing them. If you're here at the ankle, we're squeezing the knees together and then releasing. And squeezing the knees together and releasing. So we're working the inner thigh muscles right now. And we're also lengthening around the hip joint. Yeah. So just one more and we're going to hold it. How's that? Okay, so holding that squeeze, right? So I'm squeezing the inner thighs together. Got the outside of my left foot working toward the outside of my right leg. Hands on the thigh, sit up really tall, breathe in and breathe out. Now, as you continue to squeeze here, we're going to come forward.
Okay.
And back. Just a couple of these. Forward and back. And last one, we're just going to come forward and back and release all of that squeezing and relax the leg. And then slide your ankle now on top of your knee. Now, if that doesn't work, again, you can go ankle on top of ankle. We're going to work the muscles, what we just worked for the muscles on the inside of this leg. Now we're going to work the muscles on the outside of the leg and the outside of the hip. So you're going to pull this knee down toward the floor and then relax it. Keep your spine upright. So you're pulling the knee down toward the floor and relaxing it. You can cross at the ankle and do it that way. Right? It's the same thing. We're doing exactly the same thing. We're using those muscles in the outside of the leg, breathing in and breathing out. Mhm. And the next time that you have the leg, the knee pulled down toward the floor, hold it there just for a breath. This is hard. This is really challenging, that outward rotation. And then relax that. So you're relaxed and you're in this same position. Hands, if you're crossed ankle on top of knee, hands are on the shin. If you're crossed ankle on top of ankle, just take your hands on your right thigh. And what we're going to do here is we're going to bring the navel down toward the front. And come up. So we're just exploring. First few times, I like to move in and out of the pose before I stay there. Because remember what I was saying about finding that edge, so where you feel the sensation? I can't always tell the first time I get into it. Sometimes it takes a few times moving in and out of something for me to know where that edge is. So the next time we come forward, let's hold here and breathe. Relax your jaw and your neck and your face. So oftentimes when we come into a posture that's a little bit challenging for the body, sometimes create like all this tension in the face. And notice where you feel it, right? So do you feel so for me on this side, just giving you an observation. Not so much in so I always just observe those things and just think, that's so interesting. Because when I look at myself in the mirror, I wish it's symmetrical. And I do something like this and I realize, wow, I'm not symmetrical.
On the news, I heard that pushed it out. Pushed the start date out.
Well, it's not-
But that just means that they're not ready, and most people haven't gotten, nobody has.
For taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't received my kit to put stuff together.
So point your toes.
Might such a pain. My tax preparer.
Like so the same way.
Well, you could. You could.
All this volume there from our.
Can I ask you something?
We're gonna bend the
So
knee.
with posting Eddie's video, I'm so nervous of everything I say here.
Well,
We were fortunate to have Eddie Martucci, Big Y Pharmacy Manager, as
Can
our
all
guest
the
in Coffee and
voices be
Eddie,
muted, please?
here's the folks, please. Thanks. I want to hear about their taxes. All right, so bring your feet a little wider apart. And we're going to be coming up to standing. So as we start this procedure for coming up to standing, and we've been doing this for quite a while now, instead of coming straight up, we're going to come forward. So we're going to come forward and bring the buttocks off the chair and then come into that standing up position. So do you want to place your hands on your thighs? We're just going to lean forward. See if you can come forward enough to get your bum off the chair and then slowly stand up. Okay, so let's step back just a little bit so that the backs of your legs are close to the chair. You're going to come into a squat. So lift your tailbone out behind. You can have your hands on your thighs, and then we're going to come right back up. Okay, so as you come up, strengthen the knees by tightening the leg muscles here. And then as you come down, pull your belly and lift your bum way out behind. Come down, 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 bend those knees. And then up. Good. You're going to do this 3 more times. Right, so nice and slow. Now, if you've got knee issues and you can't bend your knees too much, just do the best you can. So the more you test it, as again, as long as you don't have pain, you have discomfort, that's a whole different thing, right? And the next time you come up, you're gonna stay here. Great. Okay, let's walk around to the back of the chair. So come right around to the back of your chair. All right, I'm going to move my chair out of the way just so you can see what we're doing. So we're going to start with a little bit of movement here. So holding on to your chair, we're going to take the right leg, bring all your weight into your left leg, take your right leg and bring it out to the side and down. So just out and down. So we're getting a little bit of movement here, slow and steady, right? So we're balancing on that left leg And we're creating some movement here on the right side. Next time you bring your foot down, let's just switch sides. So we're going to go out to the side. Great. Slow and steady. All right. Okay, so are you ready now? Left foot on the floor. We're going to shift the weight into that left and go out to the right and down. Shift the weight into the right, go out to the left and down. Let's breathe as we do this. So we're just going from side to side. Okay. Everybody looks great. Okay, so now instead of simply going out to the side, what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm turn sideways so you can see, instead of coming out to the side like this, I'm going to ask you to go back and down. Okay? So it's kind of side but back and down. Not completely back, but it's kind of like a diagonal. Does that make sense? Okay. And we're going one side to the other. So don't lean your body forward. You want to keep your body upright. So that's why the chair is really handy. I'm going to move my chair here. So with the chair, yeah, so I'm just going from side to side. Notice that it's different on the right side and the left side. Okay, so most of us, there's going to be a little bit of a difference. One more time on each side. You're doing some dynamic kind of balancing. Great. And then we're going to bring both feet to the floor. Now from here, can you all see my feet? Okay, all right, I won't bother with moving the chair. So from here, I'm going to hold on or just kind of have my hands resting on the chair. Feet are about hip width distance apart. So what that means is if I took my fist and brought my fist right down, I could place it between my feet. But I don't want it to be so big of a gap that I could get like two fists in there. So from here, with the hands on the chair, we're going to come up on the toes, come up as high as you can, breathe in, breathe out, and then slowly lower down, really, really slowly. All right, so slowly come up on the toes and slowly come down on the hips. So breathing in and breathing out. Good. How about two more of these? So there's a little bit of balance involved in this as well. Right? And last time. Okay. Everybody doing okay with that? Okay, let's try a little bit more of a challenge now. Okay, so shift your weight into your right side and give your left knee a little bit of a bend. Okay, so that kind of takes the left leg out of the equation. And now using just your right foot, you're going to come up on your toes, just on the right, and slowly lower down. You got that? It's just the right side. It's harder because now all of your body weight, instead of being distributed on the right side and left side, now all of your body weight is on that right side. So this is a lot more work for your calf. One more time up and down. Ooh, I can feel that. Excellent. Shift your weight into the left. Let's shake out that right a little bit. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the left side. So once again, shift your weight into your left side. Just give your right knee a little bit of a bend so you get some slack in that leg. And then we're going to go up and down on the left side. So slow and steady. Come way up on your toes, like you were standing, like you're trying to reach something on the top shelf somewhere, right? You ever do that? Like, get as tall as you can on that side. Not if you have a tall person in the house. That's what I do. I have a tall person in the house, so I usually just ask for help. So just two more. Excellent. Okay, let's shake that out a little bit. Whew. Okay, so strengthening those muscles a little bit here. So now we're going to stretch them out. So keeping your left foot on the floor, we're going to take the right foot, step it way back, and come up on your toes on that back foot. Right? Standing up nice and tall. Now we're going to see if we can bring the heel of that right foot to the floor as you bend your left knee, and then come all the way up and continue. So I'm just going to slide this out of the way just in case some people are having trouble seeing. So we're trying to get that heel to the floor. Now you'll notice my back foot, the toes are facing forward. I don't have the foot angled out to the side. The toes are facing forward. And the next time you bring your heel down to the floor, we're going to hold here and breathe. Now, if you're leaning forward, if your chair is like way out, pull it back a little bit so that you can stand up nice and tall. So you don't want to be hunched over here. You want to be standing up nice and tall. Take your right hand off your chair, inhale it all the way up, and exhale it all the way down. So breathing in and breathing out, same thing. Just breathe in as you lift, breathe out as you lower. One more time, let's breathe in as we lift, breathe out as we lower. Excellent. Okay, so come up on the toes of the back foot, and you're going to step your back foot forward and your forward foot back, so that they kind of come together. Take a moment here and just notice right side and left side. And then we're going to step that left foot back. Up on the toes to start. So remember, your toes are going to be facing forward. And then we're going to bring that heel to the floor as we bend the front knee and then come up. So as I'm doing this, my heel is not getting to the floor on this side. So I'm going to slide my foot up a little bit more, so that when I bend that front knee, my back heel gets to the floor. Wow, this is squeaky up here. And one more time. So I'm going to hold here now. So check that your foot is facing forward, that it's not angled out to the side, because that's a different stretch. That's not what we're going for. So breathing in and breathing out. If you're leaning forward, you want to lean back a little bit. You can pull your chair in a little bit. Let's take that left arm up and down. So we're going to breathe as we're doing this. Slow and steady. So there's some balance involved here as well, right? So there's balance and stretch. Nice gentle movement. Great. One more time all the way up. And come all the way down. Wonderful. Okay, lean forward as you come up on the toes of the back foot, straighten your front knee, and then take your right foot and left foot close together. Take a moment here and notice what you feel, right side and left side. So maybe a little bit longer, the legs maybe feel a little bit longer or a little bit looser. Let's do one more standing movement before we come back to seated. So take your feet really wide apart. So if you're here in the room with me, see if you can get your feet wider than your chair, right? We're going to angle the toes out. Now, if you're in your socks, careful, because if you're here and your feet slide, you're going to do a split, and I don't think that would be too comfortable. So with your toes angled out, now we're going to bend the knees, and as you bend your knees, pull your knees toward the wall behind you. In other words, don't let them come in like this. You want to pull your knees toward the wall behind you, bend as far down as you can go, and then slowly straighten and come up. You doing okay? Nobody wants to come in. It's very hard to read faces with masks on. Wow. All right. So next time we come down, let's see if we can hold here for just a couple of breaths. Okay. Now remember, don't let your knees collapse in toward the inside. You want to pull your knees toward the back of the wall. So you feel your glutes working and the muscles on the outside of your hips. You can hold onto your chair, or if you'd like, you can take your hands off your chair. You take your hands like this. This is called the goddess in yoga, right? So of all the postures, they named this one the goddess because I think it's one of the hardest ones. Let's breathe in and out. Always have your hands on your chair. Can you take 2 more breaths here? This is a real challenge for those thigh muscles and the hip muscles. Really good for building strength there. Okay, and then let's see how slowly can you straighten your legs. Can you go really, 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 really slow? The slower you go, the harder it is. And the more benefit you get. Okay, when your legs are straight, take your toes and your heels, walk your feet together. Take a moment here and notice your hips and your legs. Ooh. All right. And then let's come back around to the front. of the chair. We're going to stand with the backs of the legs right up against the chair or really, really close. Feet a little wider apart than your hips with your toes angled out slightly. Okay, we're going to come into a little bit of a squat. So just kind of squatting down, bending the knees, lift your tailbone up behind, pull your belly in. Get lower and lower. We're going to sit without flopping. So very slowly. Excellent. Okay. And then sit comfortably in your chair. So if you'd like, you can sit all the way back, or if you'd rather sit forward. For those of us with shorter legs, these chairs are not always comfortable to sit back in. So whatever works for you. Close your eyes. Let your hands rest comfortably on your lap. You can have them apart, or you can bring them together. Whatever feels good. And let's just kind of scan the body. So we did a lot this morning. We worked every joint in the body. So starting with your fingers, remember that was the first thing we did with the squeezing and extending of the hands. So what do your hands and fingers feel like in your wrist? What about your forearms and your elbows? Investigate your upper arm muscles and your shoulders. And is it different on the right side than on the left side? That's always a good question. And then what about your chest and your back, your neck, the right side of your rib cage and the left side of your rib cage? And notice your waist, your belly, your back. Notice your legs, your thigh muscles, and the backs of your thighs. Those are your hamstring muscles. And notice your knees. Poor knees, they do so much work. And your lower legs, and your ankles, and your feet, and your toes. And notice the whole left side of your body from head to toe. And the whole right side of your body from head to toe. And the whole front of your body, the whole back of your body. And then switch your awareness to your breath and notice the air that moves in and out. Are you breathing in and out through your nose? And if not, can you switch? Notice the temperature of the air as you're breathing in and out. Notice if your natural breath is fast or slow, and compare it to your breathing when you first sat down. If you can remember what it felt like when you were breathing, when you very first closed our eyes and took a little examination of things. And notice where you feel movement in your body in response to your breath as you inhale and exhale. Where do you feel yourself expanding and contracting? What kind of movement is obvious in your body? And just notice your sense of presence. If you feel like you're really here in your body in this moment now, and if that feels different than it did at the beginning. And take your right hand up to your chest and cover your right hand with your left. Let's Take in a breath and let it out with a sigh. And then if you'd like, maybe put your hands together and just a moment of gratitude. Gratitude to yourself for your light, your wisdom, your compassion, and eternal beauty. And then if it feels right, maybe just opening your eyes and acknowledging that same light, wisdom, compassion, and beauty. Mm. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Yeah.